I am in love with the process. And I don't mean that to sound cliche as in the posts on social media where it's don't fall in love with the result, fall in love with the process. You just need to love what you do and the work and the process for it. It's not about the destination, it's about the journey. And I will say when I first started out, I tried to listen to those things and I was like, "Oh, okay, it's all about the journey and it's all about who you become along the journey." And that sounds great. And when you're not making any money and the business isn't actually moving in the direction that you thought it was, or it's not moving as quick as you would like it to, and you're spending all of your savings and your life savings that you've had to make something work, to make something come true, I freaking hated the journey. I really hated it. It was all about the result for me. It was where the hell is the money? Where is this going to turn for me? Where I'm going to get that stroke of luck from the work that I've been putting in, where someone's going to become a customer. Someone's going to purchase this. I'm going to make a little bit of profit and I'm going to see that this has an actual future. Where is that moment? And once you stack enough of those moments together and once you get 1, 3, 5, 10, 20 solid customers underneath your company, it all kind of changes. And you start to realize that your thoughts start to change differently. You start to think in different formations and in different sequences. And you start thinking more in scale and in systems than you do in actions and activities. And it's like pieces of a puzzle falling all together. And then you reach a point where you already know that the money's going to be there and you already know that the money's going to be coming in and you have access to all this potential capital through customers, and people start throwing themselves at you for investments and start offering to buy pieces and bits of your company or the whole thing. And you start to realize that what you're building is actually, it's pretty cool, it's worth something, and you actually don't need other people's money in order to go and do it, because you can bootstrap, which is basically another term for utilizing the profit that you make to fuel future growth. And you can bootstrap your way to the next level and the next level and the next level. And this is what people mean when they say put money back into your company. They don't mean take it out of your own pocket. It just means when you're the owner and you have an equity stake in the company, the equity has value and you can go and liquidize that value in different ways. You could take out loans, you can sell a portion of the business, you can do a lot of different things in order to remain a little bit liquid but take less cash from the business. And if you go, which this has been on my mind lately, if you go and actually sell a portion of the business is worth what they just bought the percentage at for your company. So if you sell 10% of your business for $200,000, multiply it out. Your business is worth $2 million, which means that you're worth $1.8 million. You have the other $200,000 in cash. You're going to have to pay taxes on it or whatever. But you can afford to take less cash because you're sitting on a cash pile, meaning that you could take all of the cash flow from the company and put it back in. Or if you don't want to sell, you could take a smaller amount of cash flow, enough to cover your bills, and the rest you put back into the business, because then you're only paying taxes on what you paid yourself for the most part, depending on what you put it into the business. And that is really the journey and the process and who you become. And I won't lie to you, it becomes a lot of fun, but you have to make it through the initial first year and a half of shit. You have to make it to having 5, 10, 20 solid customers. You need to make it to having solid cash flow that you can count on month after month. You don't want it to be something that's left up in the air, because that creates stress. And that is not fun. And that feels like shit, especially when you have no customers and you're in the very beginning stages. It's exciting for the first month. You're like, oh my gosh, I'm doing something new. This is exciting. And then 2, 3 months might go by and you're not making as much as you thought you would or what you hoped you would and what you wanted to make. And all of a sudden you're like, what in the world did I do? And you just have to work through it. When you stop and when you quit is when you never get to see that next phase. You never get to see that falling in love with the process. And you really need to get some of that success so that you can just start to fall in love with the process. It doesn't need to be a focus on if I'm going to make it today. It's where is this going in the future, and what can I build, and what can I see, and what can I lay the groundwork for so that this comes out to be where I want it to 10 years from now. And that is the stage that you really want to get to, because that is the most exciting part about this. And I've only really recently stumbled into this phase where I know the money's going to be there. The opportunities are already lining up. I've got future opportunities already knocking at the door, just sitting and waiting on me to be ready for them. And now it's just about putting the things in place that I didn't even know that I would have to work on. I thought I would just be a sales engine the entire time. And it turns out I have to build operations systems, and I have to build different technology systems, and I have to build different people systems, and I have to build different systems for the people to follow. And it's just, you really do start to fall in love with the process. And then it just becomes more of a game and more of just a fun time to sit and scheme. And that's when people really start to get obsessed with their business, is because the business has been successful enough that people want to be obsessed with it. Because you can be obsessed with something and it not do anything for you, and it becomes a hobby, and then you have to go and get a job, and then you have to forget about it. But when your business actually hits success and it gets to be the thing that you have focused on your entire time, turns out to be something that you are now getting paid to now focus on, and you don't have to worry about the pay really, that's where it all turns.